That's my next step really. What techniques do I need to be using?
There's a plethora of different things that you can sort of work on. Learning about the car, weight transfer, tyres.
It's tricky conditions today. That was my first off. My name's Sam Parker. I'm a drift instructor and TV presenter for Caterham. This year I'm taking on my largest ever challenge. I'm going to compete in the Caterham Academy series with the support of Caterham and Dutch Barn Vodka. Whilst I have some experience behind the wheel of a 7, I've never driven on track before. I'll be learning everything from the basics of a race licence through to competitive racing against 56 other drivers in 7 rounds of an entire season. This is my journey through a season in the Caterham Academy. Right, so it's Friday, we've got a test day today, we've got 4 sessions out, so it's just learning the track a bit more, see where I can pick up pace and go a bit quicker. And we've got 1 race and qualifying tomorrow. Qualifying's in the morning, so that's on Saturday, and a race at lunchtime. I'm going to be meeting up with Taylor O'Flanagan later on today, which will be great. He's been in my shoes, he's done the academy, and he's now racing in the 310 Championship. I'll be asking him how we can go quicker. That's my next step really, like where can I push on, what techniques do I need to be using, and now I've got to grips with the car and this is our 3rd race, but it'd be great to see what tips he's got.
Okay Sam, so we're here at a rather damp and drizzly Cadwell Park, approaching your 3rd race weekend. Amazing.
Yeah,
it's going quick already.
Really quickly, I can't believe we're at the 3rd one already.
And I mean, I just want to reflect back a bit on Silverstone because what a weekend for you, and how was it from your perspective?
Oh, I just loved Silverstone. I feel really comfortable there. I've been there a lot, not on the track, but I've been there in the paddock and that, and I think that helps with just feeling comfortable there. But on track, I mean, we had a really greasy qualifying. It was really slippy.
More learning, right? Conditions and how difficult, and it's going to be good for this weekend, which looks like it's set in for rain. Yeah,
I think it will be. I think it will be wet or greasy for qualifying. Silverstone was absolutely brilliant. I loved it. I felt I'd really got to grips with the car, handling it, pushing it to its limit, getting it squealing around the corners, which I wasn't really doing at Croft as much. I just felt much more confident. At Silverstone, I finished 7th in class in my green group. Presenting and racing on the same day is actually something I don't mind doing. As soon as I finished the race and came down the pit lane, I sort of switched into presenter mode and knew that when I got into Parc Ferme, I'd have to jump out the car, my cameraman would be there with a microphone and I'd go and interview the top 3. It is a bit of a challenge. There's no rest, obviously, at all, but I absolutely love it.
We're into the 3rd race now, so you must be thinking, how do I move on? Where do I go from here? And I'm sure you're hearing lots of advice from lots of people. Well,
yeah, racecraft is something we need to, and I've got to try and figure out. We had a little bit of that at Silverstone, which was great. Croft didn't really feel, that was brand new. There was a lot going on the first race, but Silverstone, it was starting to learn how to defend and attack.
Yeah, all important skills.
And now that sort of is more apparent at this round.
Well, it's been few years since I've been in the driving seat, and I never actually won my academy year, but I've got lined up someone who did win their academy year, so we can chat through this weekend, give you some advice and see where the next steps are. And that's Taylor O'Flanagan, so we're going to meet him. But we're kind of by the Caterham awning now, so I think cup of tea first.
Definitely a cup of tea. I need a cup of tea. Got tea.
Right, here we are then at the O'Flanagan camp.
Here is his very clean machine.
Hello, Taylor.
Hello. Hi.
I am going to leave you with Taylor. I'm going to give you the brolly.
Thanks, Chris. How you doing, Taylor? All right?
Really good.
Good. You got some fresh rubber on your car?
Yeah, we're ready to go. Cadwell Park, lots to practice here before we go out. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Yes, excellent. Yes, I need your help with this weekend. So Taylor, I've met you a few times. I've interviewed you on the podium, obviously in your racing. You did the academy as well?
Yeah, it was 2020, the year of COVID, making a bit of a nuisance. It was an interesting year, but yeah, academy white group, what an amazing year. And I ended up, I was champion that year, just about. It was super close. And then I've continued to go through road sport 270 and now 310 hours.
So in terms of us in academy, what do you think stood out to you in all your years of racing that would help us go faster and obviously learn a bit of racecraft? Have you got something that, things that you can think about and share with us?
Yeah, I mean, obviously everybody learns in different ways and depends on your budget, 'cause obviously you can do instruction and things like that, but I actually picked up a couple of books. There was a great book, I think it's called Learn to Race. It's an American Skip Barber book, or Going Faster I think it was called, and also lots of YouTube videos, tutorials now, which are great. And I think learning about the car, learning about weight transfer, learning about your tyres, and then obviously driving techniques, heel and toe, left foot braking. There's a plethora of different things that you can sort of work on, not necessarily all at once. And then obviously it all gets thrown up in the air a little bit when you go racing, and you've got to learn racecraft as well. So much to learn in the academy year, but you can chip away at some of them things, do it on the road, do it in your normal cars, and start to develop your driving skills. It can give you an edge, certainly somewhere like Cadwell Park. So how have you been getting on with sort of techniques and going faster? When did you learn to heel and toe?
I spent some time on the road actually in the car.
Nice,
and that's
me too.
how I learned. Oh, did you?
Yeah.
And I found that was the most beneficial. There's no pressure, just driving, doing lots of daily runs in the Caterham, which is the beauty of the academy. Seat time is just really important. So I did learn before Croft, which is our first race, but I still wasn't that confident with it. And we've altered a few things in the pedal box. We've slightly raised the floor actually, because I've only got a size 5 feet. I was having to lift my foot to get the ball of the foot on the brake, and then obviously trying to roll it over. So we just altered the pedals, which is obviously easily done. So now it's a lot more comfortable for me.
Nice. That's the thing, isn't it? Everybody, when you hear heel and toe, it's from quite old school cars with, wide apart pedals, whereas in the Caterham, as you know, they're so close together, and most modern cars, it's more of just a roll, isn't it? You keep the ball of your foot on the brake pedal and you're just rolling onto the throttle a little bit.
Yes.
So it's actually a much smaller movement than people imagine. You see, when you think of heel and toe, you think of moving your whole foot sideways, but it really is just a bit of a roll. Maybe more so for you with slightly smaller feet, but for me, it's certainly just a touch on the throttle. So but it's super important technique on tracks like this. Can save you a lot of time and give you the edge in academy. Are you doing any other techniques, left foot braking? Have you tried anything like that?
Haven't tried left foot braking yet. I feel like this track, I'm still sort of learning it, so maybe maybe
not the place to try.
Maybe not the place to try it. No, exactly. Maybe at the next track. Well, not Kill's the next one, but. Yeah, it's definitely something I want to try and introduce, because you obviously benefit from it.
Yeah, I learnt it throughout the academy year, and it definitely took some getting used to, and for most people it does, because especially with modern cars, automatics, we still would only use our right foot, and in road cars we're used to obviously using the clutch. It's quite a heavy movement, so you often, when people first try it, they headbutt the dashboard because you're used to quite a heavy movement, and brakes are quite sensitive. So it definitely takes a bit of getting used to, and do it in a safe place, but again, you can practice it in your road car. Most of them have servo assisted brakes, so it's quite sensitive. The Caterham is actually probably easier to learn in, because it's a normal brake system. So but certainly round here, out the back section through Gooseneck, I use it quite a lot, and I think it helps because you're not having to move your feet to obviously brake. So whenever you coming into a corner where you don't have to change gears, it's great to be able to left foot brake, because you can just cover the brakes, and if you're going a bit hot, you can just touch the brake and get the nose to come in a little bit. Obviously if you are shifting gears, you then need to move over to use the clutch, but I find it invaluable, and I just naturally drive now just covering it with my left foot in case I ever need it. So definitely want to try maybe later in the season.
Because it's something I do, obviously, as you'll know, in academy you do dab the brake just to get that weight on the nose to help it turn in. So if your left foot's there, it could be a lot easier.
Yeah, and it's possible you've probably done it in go-karting and things. You do naturally do it in certain circumstances. But
I've done it on the drift days.
Oh, in drifting,
on the Caterham drift experience days.
There you
go. And that, especially when it's wet, it helps the nose turn in, and so I've kind of got the feel when I'm drifting, but obviously when you're on a circuit, it is quite different. So I haven't been brave enough to try it yet.
Probably a good one to lead on to tyres.
Yes.
And how to get to know your tyres a bit, and how much grip they can give you in certain different corners, because obviously very different in a high speed to a low speed corner, right? Obviously every tyre only has a maximum amount of grip it can give you, and we put it through maximum load when you go into the braking zones, and then we try and turn the wheel if you still need to slow down more, and obviously the tyre's giving you as much as it can give. So learning about trail braking and things like that, that if you start to come off the brakes a little, you can start to turn a bit, and vice versa. Actually understanding how the tyre compound works is super useful.
Yeah, trail braking you mentioned, like that's something as well that I've sort of done, I suppose, more by accident sometimes, and I thought, oh, actually, that worked better.
Yeah. You already found with the experience days, you know, for most sort of amateur track day drivers, and I learnt in the same way, they'll say brake in a straight line and then turn in, you know, make sure you're off the brakes before you come in. But in racing, that doesn't, and in most, you know, fast track driving, it's not the case. You often will trail brake into certainly slower corners. It was one of the things that I got sort of over confident in, if you like, and did it everywhere, and it's another thing to learn. I actually had a good friend of mine who taught me through it in academy year, because I was always losing the rear in fast corners, and I was like, I thought trail braking was just how you did every corner, and he was like, no, fast corners, obviously you need the car settled, so you want to come off the brakes a bit earlier, get the rear settled, and maybe even a little bit of power. And then go through. So it's all about understanding the different corners, obviously. But certainly slower corners, mid-speed corners, trail braking is super important, and it means that you can carry that little bit extra into the corners, which, as you know, as soon as you get racing, is super important. You're braking so much later than you know you were in testing, and
yeah, that's something I've noticed actually, is how much faster. And I've so far, I think this year I've gone. My quickest lap time has been in the race.
Yes.
Like towards the end of the race. So. And I think, you know, chasing somebody, it just pushes you on, doesn't it?
I'm the same. I think there's definitely certain types of drivers. You see it in Formula One, you see it sort of in Caterham. Some people are really fast over one lap and they struggle a little bit in the race, and some people are the other way around. I think that's probably like me and you, and I need somebody to chase or somebody to try and get away from. You know, I'm not always the quickest in qualifying, but as soon as we're in that race, then you just brake that little bit later, you get on the power that little bit earlier, and at that point it's all about trusting your car, and if you've done some good testing and you're confident, you can always go that little bit further.
Yeah.
So how are you getting on with racecraft? How defending, overtaking, car positioning?
Yeah, so Silverstone, I feel like that's where I really got to put that into practice, a bit of racecraft. I'm quite aware of who's around me and how far away they are. So I was doing quite well at, you know, sort of hovering in the middle in certain corners, so that I knew, well, not corners, but coming up to a braking section, knowing that they're there, thinking, right, if I brake right on the outside of the circuit, which is where you do on a perfect qualifying lap, for instance, they're just going to go up my inside. So I sort of stayed offline a little bit, you know, and things like that. So it's good to watch the races back afterwards, or you're on
learn
board,
a lot,
and
right?
And you see when people do get past you, you're like, oh, I left the door open.
Yeah.
You know, I completely left that wide open.
Yeah.
So it's...
And a door in Caterham's is literally a Caterham. Might even be 3/4 of a Caterham, isn't it? You know, people will find the smallest of gaps. I had so many of them moments even still in the 310, you know, they're even more aggressive driving, but certainly Academy and Road Sport year, you're parked here and you're like, yeah, there's no way he's going up there. And the next thing you know, they're coming along, you know.
Exactly. I've seen it in all the, like you say, in the
really
Caterham racing.
You
really don't appreciate like how they will just fit through the smallest of gaps. It's incredible. Which is what makes it fun though, right?
Yeah, it's amazing racing. You know, as we started to come up through the championships, I was looking at other championships going, oh, what's next? And really struggled to find most other things, you know, as competitive, as fast and as cost effective as Caterham. You know, no motorsport is cheap, but, you know, definitely at the speeds that we're racing and the closeness of it, there's really nothing quite like it that compares. And I'm looking forward to going up to the 7 UK at some point and racing on the slicks.
Oh, I can't wait to see you in that.
Yeah, it's going to be really cool. So it's amazing to have this ladder. You know, we've been racing 5 years now since Academy, like you are now, and you've got so much ahead of you of all the different changes in the car specs, and every one feels like a big jump, you know, different tyres, different suspension. Really amazing journey ahead of you, I think you've got.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah, no, I'm just loving it. Roll on the race.
Yeah, absolutely.
The last session of the day It was a wetter lap than the previous lap. I just completely misjudged my braking and braked way too late going into a corner called Park, which is a right-hander, and obviously couldn't make the corner and went onto the grass, and then you're just a passenger then because the grass was wet, so I just went off into the tyre wall. That was my first off. I haven't even spun on circuit yet up until that point. Well, it wasn't even a spin, it was just an off completely. So yeah, being a first impact, it was a knock to the confidence. Luckily, you know, I'm okay, and the car came away with minimal damage, so I was very lucky really. It was a 30-mile-an-hour impact into the tyres. It managed to knock all the tyres over, and I thought there was going to be a lot more damage, but fortunately just a rear wing and a wing stay and a mirror, and that's it, it's all back to normal, so thank goodness. Yes, it's race day at Cadwell Park. It's tricky conditions today. We've just finished qualifying. I qualified 10th, which I'm actually really pleased about. It was a lot of greasy patches, a lot of wet patches, some wetter than others, a dry line forming as well. So it's just trying to navigate all of those little, you know, sections whilst you're trying to go as fast as you can. So there's a lot going on. It's only 15 minutes long. But yeah, I'm super happy with 10th, really happy. Yeah, really pleased. So it's going to be tricky for the race later, I think, because the rain is coming down a bit heavier again. So with what Taylor said yesterday to me, I think that will come really into practice in the race later on, you know, talking about racecraft and things like that. To be honest, in qualifying this morning, it was just survival. Getting round cleanly, not making any mistakes, and, you know, trying to go as quick as you could.
Well done.
Oh, thank you, Taylor.
Looked super tricky out there.
It was so tricky.
Yeah.
The worst conditions I think I've experienced, even with the test days.
Yeah.
It was so bad. It was worse than qualifying this morning. I thought it was going to be the same as qualifying, and there'd be a dry line, but no.
Rain side coming in when you're in the assembly area,
yeah.
isn't it?
And you're just trying to find a dry spot. It was.
Oh, you did
but
amazing.
we survived,
yeah,
and
you
it
should
was.
be super happy with
Yeah,
that.
yeah, I am really happy.
Well done.
Thank
Did you
you.
manage to keep it nice and smooth?
Yes, yeah. Had a good battle with Charlie Nern as well,
Yeah,
so that was
saw
really
that.
good. Yeah.
Good job.
Had a good start as well. Made up a few places, but I just couldn't keep them because I wasn't as committed as some of the others around me. Just because they were a bit braver in some, because I wasn't sure where the grip was.
Yeah, it worked out for some, not so much for others. So yeah, I think you should be super chuffed for that. Great result.
Thank you. Yeah. Thanks, Taylor.
On to the next one.
Yes.